Hello, this is the final tutorial in the robot series. Here's where we left off with a nice rig that uses inverse kinematics. We will cover some basic animating now, but before we jump in, I want to fix a few things that will help make our animation look a little better. First, let's bring down this target bone here, the antenna target. Just right about there should be fine. We want it a little bit closer. And down over here, we want to take this joint here and move it down further into the thighs. And what that will do is it will help to limit the intersection with this body right here. And now we are ready to begin animating. We're going to begin by creating a walk cycle. So go ahead, select the armature, come over to the object data, and check X-ray, and this will just allow us to see the bones through the mesh. Now just go into, with the armature selected, go into pose mode, and now you can see that we can drag his parts around. Okay, now since we're not modeling anymore, let's go ahead and go into the animation viewport, and instead of having the graphs open, have the NLA editor open. Okay. We can begin working on our character now, or on our animation. Come over to this dope sheet editor and change the mode to action editor. Create a new action. Let's call it, well, normally what I'd do is I would separate the walk and the walk cycle in the legs and the walk cycle in the arms. That way you can have him walking normally or walking carrying something and they won't interfere. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I am just going to create one single walk cycle. So let's call it walk cycle. Okay. And now we can just get to work. So a walk cycle has two basic components, kind of an angle. I call it 45 and 90 because basically it's kind of closer to 30 degrees, but that is how the feet are positioned. So at the 90 degree position, his feet are up like that, and at the 40 degree, they're more like that. So that is what I'm referring to if I say 45 degrees and 90 degrees. But anyway, before we go further, let's actually uncheck inherit rotation. So tab out of pose mode, and not that one. Let's select his feet bone, or his foot bones, and uncheck inherit rotation. Now if we tab back into pose mode, his feet will remain at the same angle. And this is pretty helpful. I mean, maybe not for this purpose right now, but it just gives us more control. And that's good. So anyway, let's begin by setting him up in a nice 45 degree position. So when he's in the 45 position, his center of gravity is lower than when he's at a 90 degree. So let's just bring him down about one unit, like that. So his knees should be nicely bent. Let's just grab one of the bones here and kind of bring it forward, and then angle this. Actually, it's probably closer to 30 degrees, so something like that should work. And let's just take this one back, angle it almost the same way, and just bring it back like that. Actually, before we go further, let's set up some bone groups. So select this bone, this bone, this bone, and this bone. And I'm just going to select his hips as well. And come over to the object data and create a new group. I'm going to call this foot controllers. And let's just assign these ones. And I'm just going to give it a nice color theme. I don't know what, 13, no, I don't know. Whatever will work. I usually use that one for hands. Those will work. Okay, and this really just helps us select the right bones. Anyway, so just now when you get it into the 45 position, just hit I. Actually, let me turn on screencast keys. There we go. So hit I, location, and then I, rotation. And that will just keyframe each of those. And this is kind of like the initial position. And now let's just move out 10 frames. Actually, let's select this and move it back to 0. So let's begin at 0. There we go. Now move out to 10. And let's just reposition this bone here. Actually, let's also turn on this automatic keyframe. And so if we hit Alt-G, that'll reposition the hips. And then we can reposition the leg, reposition the leg, rotate, rotate. But actually, I think this one should be up. So just bring that up like that. Put it at a 90 degree. So rotate -90. There we go. So now when it comes up like that. So those are the two basic components. So now all we have to do, come down, hit copy, move out to 20, and not directly paste, but mirrored paste. Oh shoot. Let's see. Make sure you have all of the foot controllers selected, which is where this bone group comes in handy. So just hit select, and that'll select everything. Hit copy, paste mirrored, and then come back to 10, copy, paste mirrored, 20, copy, and then set it to 40, and paste mirrored. Now if we set our end time to 39, you can see we have a decent walk cycle going. Now we still need to work on his arms a little bit, but we have the nice beginning for a good walk cycle. Okay, so now that we have that working, let's go ahead and start working on his hands. I'm going to create a new bone group. So select this bone, the hand bone, that bone, and that bone. Create a new group. I'm going to call this hand controllers. Got a capital O in there. There we go. And I think set that to 2 and assign those bones. And now we should have another bone group. So when we select those, these bones are all selected. Okay, that's good. So now we basically just have to go through and position his hands. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put them down kind of at his side. And just like that. Okay. Just make them look somewhat even. Okay. And then that should be good. Looks fairly natural. I might actually bring these in to being more even with his body. There we go. Something like that should work pretty good, or pretty well. And now, let's see. That's good. Yeah, we got some weird effect going on here. Okay, let's go into side view mode. So select this guy, and basically the arms offset the positioning of the legs. So this one, since this leg is back, this arm will be forward, and since this leg is forward, this arm will be back. So let's just reposition that. So right about there, and then this other one should be back right about there. Okay. And then if we move forward, let's just select all of the hand controllers, copy that, and then go to 20, paste mirrored, and then copy those, and go to 40, paste mirrored. So now, if we run that, we have our arm cycle working. Okay. What's going on here? I don't know that we actually need any hands in here, so I'm just going to delete these keyframes and see what happens. Nothing. Okay. And actually, I'm also going to just take these and copy them and put them at 40, so paste there, and that will just kind of keep them in the same position in case in another clip you are actually moving these around, so that way it won't screw up our walk cycle. So that's looking pretty good. Now let's go ahead and start working on the antenna. So okay, and this won't actually require another bone group because it's really just one bone. So here he's at the bottom of his stride, here he's at the top. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put that down like so. Technically that could work, but let's just give it a little bit more effect. So I'm just gonna pop that up like that. That might be a little bit extreme, so now go ahead, hit copy, paste, copy, paste, and copy, paste. There we go. So now that might be really too extreme. Okay, let's see. What can we do? Maybe at the bottom of his stride. Yeah. Okay. I have that almost exactly backward of how I want to do it. And my mouse just quit. There we go. We're back. So here, let's have this one lower and this one kind of springing up, like he's got a bit of a bounce to his step. So copy that, paste it to 20, copy 10, paste it to 30, stupid mouse, copy 20, and paste it to 240. Okay. And that should give him a nice bouncy look. Maybe that's too extreme. Just play around with that and make it look good. Okay. Here, let's moderate that a little bit more. So just bring that up, maybe right there. So I'm just going to copy that, paste it to 20, and then paste it to 40. Oops. Copy 20. I'm doing that wrong. Copy 10, paste it there, and paste it to 40. There we go. There. Nice look. So now we have a nice walk cycle. And you can see that down here in the NLA editor. Now, if we go ahead and hit this little snowflake here, it will actually create an NLA track. And I'm just gonna, I don't know what we're gonna call it. Let's track 1, I don't know, main track. There we go. And basically, I think this is all we're really gonna need. In this next part, we're going to create a run cycle. So create a new action. Let's call it run cycle. Okay, so the basics of a run cycle. It's almost exactly like walking, except for a little bit more exaggerated. Okay, so let's go over to the walk cycle and take a look. So he begins with his right leg forward. Let's go back to the run cycle. Shoot. Turn off auto keyframe for now. And let's just reposition everything. There we go. Turn back on auto keyframe. Nope. Didn't reposition everything. There we go. Turn back on auto keyframe. Take his right leg. Bring it pretty far forward. Let's rotate it right like that. Okay. Bring this guy back. Rotate that like so. Take his hips, bring them up. Okay. Make sure to add a little bit of knee bend. Okay, like so. Maybe bring that knee up a little bit more. Just have fun with it. Okay. Now let's start bringing the hands down. So, like so. Bring this hand down, like so. Just like in the walk cycle. Have that inverted, or inverse of the legs. So, since this right leg is forward, bring the right hand back, and then take the left hand and bring it forward. Like so. Okay, let's advance by 5 and give it a 90-degree position. So that one needs to go back down like that. Let's bring his hips back down. Let's take these hands back like that. Okay, that looks good. Now if we can go through and copy and paste again. So take that, copy, 10, copy the mirror. Oh, never mind. We have to have the foot and hand controllers selected. So copy paste the inverse. Then at position 5, copy, and then at 15, paste the inverse. And select and copy position 10 and paste the inverse at 20. So now we have a nice run cycle. There we go. Let's see how well it integrates with our walk cycle. So hit the snowflake, just bring it down to the same main track there, hit Shift T. Now if we unmute the main track there, we go from a nice walk cycle. And let's extend that a little bit. Where does this end? 75. So go to frame 75. Just run this through. And that's a little bit weird. Let me just bring this forward a little bit. Interesting. Usually have a bit more space to work with here. Get rid of that transition. Can't fill the block. That's not good. this walk cycle down a bit and repeat it twice. Okay. Create a transition by hitting Shift T. It's a little bit choppy. Yeah, looking at my other one, there's a little bit of chop too, so I guess it's normal. And maybe if we pull this one out a little bit. Okay, so if it's showing the seconds, it'll snap it, I don't know to what, maybe to each second, which at 25 frames per second, that would explain why it's going from 50 to 75. Make sure to uncheck show seconds, and that will allow you to have a whole lot more control. So I'm just going to put this on 50 because that's a nice number, nice happy number. And maybe bring this out a little bit. Okay. And maybe if we let's just scale that down to 1. I don't know why it keeps scaling it up, but that should be good. Okay. Let's get rid of these extra track. Oops. Thank goodness for Control Z. There we go. And that should work. So, as you probably saw me do, under here, under the playback settings, I changed the scale and the repeat. So that will help you change the speed. So if you want a really fast walk cycle, scale it down. And then also make sure to scale your transitions back up, otherwise it'll kind of break for a while, but that'll be a pretty fast walk cycle. Let's scale that back up to 1, and then under repeat, that is exactly as it sounds. It is how many times the track will repeat. Actually, let's set that to 1 repeat and a scale of 1. Delete the rest of this transition, hit Shift T, and that should be good. We've created a fairly decent animation. I hope you enjoy this, and come back next time for another tutorial. I will see you then.